All right, well, welcome to another episode of Ethical Complaints. Um, Man, I wish it was quieter around here. I swear, every car is so loud around here. I mean, especially this pickup truck that's right up the road. I'm sure he's a nice guy and all, but man, it just shakes the windows when he's parking it. Anyway, so some things I want to talk about today are, how I try to be sustainable, right? I mean, I do what I can to be sustainable, but it's hard. It's tough. It's a tricky thing. I mean, I'm thinking about this new expensive bamboo toilet paper that Target has that I tried, um, and I thought it was cool at first. I'm using it. It's made out of bamboo. Bamboo grows very quickly. It's very sustainable, right? I mean, it's bamboo. I mean, it. You look one day, the next week it's 20 feet high, right? So I'm using this toilet paper, and so is the girlfriend. She doesn't like it. She thinks it's too rough, and I'm like, let me just keep trying it. I think it's fine, But what should have tipped me off was the fact that I spilled something on the counter and there was a toilet paper roll there, and I used some of the toilet paper to clean up the spill, and it looked like I could still use that same piece of toilet paper and clean up another spill. That should have been the first indication, because I don't know if any of you's tried to use toilet paper to clean up a mess before, but it just falls apart. There's no way. But this stuff, it was like a Brawny commercial, but it was toilet paper. Oh my goodness. So now it's starting to hurt my butt. It's starting to hurt my hinder. So I feel like I can't buy this stuff anymore. But I have a whole case of it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But geez, oh man. I gave it a shot. I did. I gave it a shot. I mean, I like trying. I like trying things out that may that may be helpful. Let's say for the planet. I mean, I try my best. I mean, it's not easy because sometimes the stuff is expensive. So it can be tricky to get it. I mean, because you got to look at, is it sustainable for my wallet? I mean, why does sustainable things have to be not sustainable for my wallet? You have to balance it out, right? You have to do a balancing act with it. I mean, I try. I have this tofu this tofu cat litter. It's decent stuff. It's decent. It actually clumps very well. I'm actually super happy about it. I must have went through maybe 4 different types of cat litter because the cat, you know, she's older. She's like 16, 17, and she's overweight and all. And I try to give her. She gets science diet. It's mostly fiber, but cats aren't very active at that age, so it's hard for her to, lose weight. And I worry about her hips and whatnot, and jumping off of, the window and the windowsill where she sleeps. But so anyhow, the cat litter. So what she was doing is she was tracking it. And you got to watch with cat litter because your cat's walking in it, and then she cleans her feet and everything else. And then if it's got chemicals in it, they eat it, and blah 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 blah. The list goes on. But so I was trying to get this cat litter. I had something called Pretty Litter, which they were shipping me every 3 weeks, I think, or yeah, every 3 weeks. And sometimes I wouldn't get a shipment. I'm not someone to complain about it, where I should. I feel like I should be more like my uncle sometimes, but so the Pretty Litter, it actually changes color when the cat, uses it. When the cat urinates in it, it changes a different color. One color could mean this, one color could mean a urinary tract infection. So it kind of gives you an insight. But I mean, all right, whoop-de-doo. I mean, I gotta watch that. I gotta stop buying gimmicky things. Like I never knew I needed that. You know, I never knew that I needed to know that the color of her urine meant this. You know, I would take her to the vet if she wasn't feeling well. Okay, I'm sure it can give a little insight, but Jesus, there's always something. There's always something new that is out to try to get you to get something. And I'm someone that gets sucked on it, right? I get hooked. I see it's new and improved, and it invites me right in. I have such a problem with that. And that's probably why I don't have a lot of money, because I like to spend it on things that they grab me. The marketing has me, and it drives me insane. So when I see like ads for things, it just drives me nuts, because I know a lot of it's fake. I'm not saying all of it is, but a lot of it is. It's just hyped up and fluff. It's just, it's just annoying. Anyhow, I got the Tofu Cat Litter, and that stuff is phenomenal. I mean, it's phenomenal. Like, it actually clumps up, and when you scoop it, it's not like clay in the bottom of the cat litter, and it doesn't get stuck really to the scooper, and it soaks up the urine really well, and man, it's pretty good. It's good stuff. I mean, it clumps great. You wouldn't think it would, because they look like these long, thin nodules. But what it is, it's tofu. It's tofu waste. I think it's the husk from the soybean, maybe. And then there's another mineral in there that helps it clump as well. But it's mainly the tofu. It's pretty phenomenal. But that stuff I did need. And that wasn't gimmicky. That's actually something I researched and found out. And it was pretty good. And it is really good. She's not tracking it as much. It's still around, but like if she was to go clean herself off, she could eat that. It actually says on the package that it's edible, or food grade or something, it says. But, it's not gimmicky, which makes me think about this water that I have here right now, this BLK, period. More than water, it's called. And it's black. That's why it's BLK, because it's actually black. It's black water. You see, this is what I'm saying. This is what I mean. So I go to this faraway ShopRite because they have a lot of vegan options there, and they have this lunch meat that's really good. It's a vegan lunch meat, which is really good, right? But the last time we went there, we got it, and it was expired, and I didn't know that until I tried to make a sandwich, and I'm making a sandwich. I got some rye bread, and I'm ready to go, right? I'm ready to go. And, I go to make the sandwich, and I pull it out, and it's a little slimier than usual, and it's a little fuzzy on the other side. It's one big indicator if it's fuzzy, right? So I look at the date, and it's almost 8 months. 8 months! 8 months! Which makes me feel bad, too. Like, it makes me feel like, man, nobody's buying this stuff. This stuff is really good. All right, it's got a little bit of a, the lady on it's kind of creepy looking. It's just a picture. I'm sure she's a nice lady, but the picture's kind of creepy looking. But you know me, I'm neurotic with things. It's amazing. Anyhow, stuff. It's really good stuff. They got corned beef. They have roast beef flavored. It's not flavored, whatever. It's its own thing. And then they have a turkey, which is really cool. So what I do is I try to make this sandwich up, right? And it's fuzzy, and I'm like, crap. What am I going to do now? I can't eat it. I got a nice loaf of rye bread. I got the mayonnaise on it. I just end up just eating the mayonnaise, the vegan mayonnaise and the rye bread with nothing on it. I don't even care. I actually used to do that sometimes when I would get a hoagie from Wawa, back in the day, working when I was an electrician. And for lunch, we'd go there. And sometimes I just didn't feel like eating all that crap in the middle, the lunch meat and the cheese and all that and the onions. And I would take all that out, and I would just eat the roll with the mayonnaise on it. I don't know if anybody's done that before, but I thought it was pretty tasty. So, yeah, it's crappy that food has such a poor turnover. That nobody's checking it. Anyhow, we called them up, the ShopRite. We took it back. We brought it up there. Actually, we called them first. We told them, it's expired. Yeah, all right, we'll check. And so we go back there. There's more expired stuff. So we get the manager and show him. But as I'm there, I get some of this black water, right? And I'm like, wow, it's black. It's black. I mean, you never see water like this, right? Unless it's mixed with oil, like old motor oil, which it kind of reminds me of, which I just changed my oil today in the Jeep. But it reminds me of, so drinking it is kind of like the color's off. It tastes fine. Actually, the first 2 times I got it at ShopRite, the taste reminded me of cedar, right? Which is crazy. So I'm like, you know what? I got to buy a case of this stuff. I have to talk about this stuff. I mean, it's Blackwater. But the case I bought from Amazon doesn't taste the same. It just doesn't taste the same. But so speaking of things that you didn't know that you needed, right? It's got fulvic, which is what makes it the color. Now, fulvic is, how do I explain it? It's a bunch of minerals that are from the ground. It's called fulvic. And you would have never thought that you needed this fulvic stuff, right? I mean, this just comes out of nowhere, fulvic. And I wasn't really prepared to talk about this, but I'm going to do it anyhow. Okay, here it is. So fulvic is an acid. All right, fulvic acid, let me rephrase that. Fulvic acid is a chemical compound that's formed when microorganisms in soil break down plant material over long periods of time. Okay? In some cases, this process can take centuries. How they dig this up, I have no idea. You can find fulvic acid in clay, sand, mountain rocks, and mud, and it can have different properties depending on where you source it from. How someone came up with, and then here's ads for fulvic acid supplement, fulvic detox, now foods, colloidal, whatever. There's probably an enema somewhere in here too for it. I could just imagine. But pretty crazy, right? So it's black. It's black. It's not bad. I mean, it's pH 8.0 plus, which when I've done research on that, it really doesn't matter. It's really hard to change the pH of your body. Some people believe you can, but as far as the science is concerned, from what I've read, you can't do it. And if you change it too drastically, I think you would actually really harm yourself. But your body has a self-righting mechanism as far as pH is concerned. Like I said, as far as I've read, okay? If anybody wants to correct me on that, point me to some links to read, okay? And I will retract that statement. But anyhow, it's black water. So I don't know. I don't feel like this batch is the same as the one that I got at ShopRite that time. And I've tried it cold. I've tried it warm. What it has been tasting like, which really bothers me, and my daughter pointed this out, it tastes like, I don't want to say old stagnant water. I don't, it doesn't taste like old stagnant water. It kind of does, though. I don't know if you've ever grabbed a water bottle that was old, because I have a million of them around here. Speaking of sustainability, I have a million water bottles because some people don't finish them and they just linger around. And what I end up doing is filling the cat bowl up with them. But the cat's not going to drink black water, though, so I can't really give her that. But I never knew I needed fulvic, and now it's something that I absolutely need all the time, I guess, right? It's going to make me last, forever. It's just, it's crazy. But speaking of sustainability, I mean, I try. I even have these biopolymer bags to scoop, the urine and feces up out of the cat litter. I mean, I go that far with it. Biodegradable trash bags. I go figure that one out, would you? Tell me how they make those ones. I could just imagine. But like I said, I just wish sustainable products were just a little bit more sustainable for my wallet. You know, I mean, it's hard. It's like getting health food, and it's just so expensive. It's just it's hard. I guess you could just buy fruits and veggies and just make that, but you want to try different things. You want to fit in with other people. You want to, we as humans, we sit down and we eat food and we converse and that's how we fit in. You don't want to just pack your own food and try it, but like with sugar, because sugar's a big thing, right? Sugar's a big no-no, white sugar. And then you got sugar in the raw and I mean, where do you go? Or with honey. I mean, I don't eat honey, but so I tried maple syrup, which isn't bad. So I tried maple syrup in my coffee. Okay. And then I got this kick with date syrup because it has more antioxidants than the honey, right? That's what I mean. I just keep going on these tangents. And I get so neurotic about it that I have to have these things. So that'll last for about maybe 3 weeks, I haven't bought date syrup in a while now. But I do put dates, pitted dates, in the nutter to make, milks with. Nut milks and whatnot. But, I mean, the date syrup was all right. It doesn't taste like sugar. I mean, we're so used to eating a certain way. We're just so used to white sugar and the flavor of it because it's in so many different things. We keep trying to chase that flavor. So whenever we make something alternatively, we're looking for that flavor again because we're so accustomed to that flavor, and it's hard to mimic that, you know. Um, I mean, when I make the the different natural milks, the pea milks in the nutter, even so, I drink a lot of soy milk, right? And no, I'm not growing breasts from it. I don't even know where the hell that even came from, man. I mean, because it's what the estrogen of the plant or okay, whatever. Plenty of bodybuilders that have soy protein as well in their diet. Although if you get, big enough, I guess you do get, but it's muscle. They're muscle breasts. It's a different breast. It's a different kind of breast. But I've made, I've made soy milk and pea milk. And the soy milk actually tastes really freaking good fresh. And it tastes nothing like the store-bought. It tastes nothing like the store-bought. Which is weird because sometimes you get an eggy flavor out of the soy milk. I don't know if anybody else has gotten that. But that's happened before. Like it's like an eggy flavor from it. And it has to do with the chemicals they put in there, I'm sure. But even my son, so I've given him, soy milk in a bottle. And, the next day, you gotta rinse the bottles out. You gotta clean them. But, you open the bottle up and it stinks, right? And you rinse it out. I'll tell you, making the natural milk, right? Making natural soy milk for him, the next day when I went to go clean it out and rinse it out, it didn't have that smell. Like, what the hell were they putting in? What are they putting in our drinks to, like, have them decompose that way? I mean, it must be just a bunch of preservatives. But, like I said, the problem is we're so spoiled with the way foods are made that it's a struggle to try to replicate that. So you have to strain all like the grittiness out of it. Otherwise, you're eating a lot of grit too, which I don't care. It's fiber. But if you were to like compare it and give it to someone else, they may not like it. I've tried it. It's like, this is gritty, and they get that kind of because we're so spoiled in the way food is produced for us. It's so automatic. Like we don't see how it's made. Of course, you can Google it, but as far as trying to we're just so used to eating it that way. It's hard. It's hard to compare it. I ate off of this lunch truck once. was a vegan lunch truck that, what's it called? Vuture Foods. Vuture Foods, right? I think that's how you spell it. Vuture. And I remember it because it was a pain in the butt to try to remember. Is it Vuture? Is it Vulture? I kept thinking it was Vulture Foods, which would have been a cool name. But and if you think of what a vulture eats, I guess, you don't want that associated with your food. Although it is still a cool name. But Vuture Foods. So they had like these, I don't know what they were. What were they? They were like this imitation chicken, but it was shredded. It was shredded, right? And then what you do is you wrap rice paper around them and you deep fry them, and it gives it like this skin on the outside, and like it's almost like biting into. They like pop when you eat them, and they were really good, man. I mean, excellent. So I ended up experimenting and trying to make those, but yeah, it's a rice paper they use and they deep fry that. Although some people don't want to. Some people that don't eat meat don't even want to associate anything with meat. I mean, when I eat it, I'm not thinking about skin. I'm thinking about the way chicken used to taste for me, and that's why I like that. But meat doesn't gross me out. The way animals are treated grosses me out, but the food itself, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I know vegetarians that won't eat imitation meat because it's too close of a resemblance to meat, which is fine too. I mean, that's fine. I don't have any issue with that, you know. But yeah, that was good. Future Foods, man. I wish they'd come around some more because, man, let's see if I could get that recipe from them. But then I wouldn't be able to make it because that's the other thing. They're so accustomed to making these things that it's hard to replicate it. I mean, you try. You look up recipes online and you try to make them, and sometimes, like seitan, right, which is vital wheat gluten. Okay, I've made that so many different times, and most of the recipes call for it being boiled. Now try boiling a food, and it has to try boiling a bread because that's what it is. It's gluten, right? So it's like a bread, and you mix it up. You mix it up like a dough, and then you boil it, but you can't boil it. It's got to be simmered. So there's a fine line between boiling and simmering, right? And you got to get right in there, man. Otherwise, the bubbles start coming through the fibers of the gluten, and then it gets like a sponge, and it's just sopping wet, and you never get it dried out. Or you can bake it, okay, which I've done many times. You can bake it, which comes out pretty good. I've always had this dream of making a bunch of food and just opening up like a lunch truck in my driveway. Just open up the garage door and just sell food right there. I mean, can't you do that? Can't you do that? I mean, I was thinking about doing that with Smoothie King because I've had a kick with Smoothie King lately, and I've been going to Smoothie King because I've been chasing. The first time I got a smoothie there, it was really good, but the past few times I've been there, it's not the same, not even close. They don't even taste good. Like I got one for my girlfriend today, and she didn't want to drink it. I drank it. I ended up drinking it. And these things are expensive, so I can't be going. I'm not. But anyhow, I got an espresso one, and it wasn't even. Who thought of this one? Sometimes I feel like, as long as the people don't spit in it, I would be okay without knowing that they secretly tested it and drank a little to see if, you know what, this is pretty good. And then they sell it to me. Instead of just making this crap and then giving it to me and then me not wanting to complain about it, because I don't want to complain about it. Because why should I complain about it? Just make the food the way it's supposed to be made, right? I mean, it's a popular place, The prices are insane, though. So anyhow, I'd love to just, make my own little smoothie plate. Just coffee smoothies. All I want to focus on is coffee smoothies. And I want to open one up right at the curb of where they're at, just to show them up that they're making crappy coffee smoothies, man. Jeez, man. I mean, is it that complicated to, just Make something that tastes good, that's healthy. I mean, goddamn. You know? Who's got a good, what am I thinking? Hip City Veg is a good place to eat. But that place is outrageous, too, with price. Like, that's crazy. And I feel like they use some of Gardine's meats and whatnot, which is a vegan food company that you can buy in a grocery store. And they're all right. They're fine. They do, they make good food. But I think some of their chicken nuggets at Hip City Veg are those. But they're oversold. But they make a good milkshake. But still, $10.99 for one of these guys, dude. $10.99. Like, what the hell is going on here? But it's just, it's enough to drive you nuts, man. It really is. It's enough to drive you nuts. I just want to have, I don't want to go there all the time. I can't afford to go there all the time. But when I do go there, if I'm spending $9 for something, make it at least taste good. I mean, is that too much to ask? Like, is that out of the realm of I mean, is that not in the purview of making the shake? Oh, by the way, it has to taste good too. Oh, by the way, we add all these ingredients in, and if we can make it taste good, great. If we can't, it's no big deal. It's not really our top priority, to make it taste good. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Anyway, there I am, stuck with black water, I'm complaining about smoothies. And I'm drinking black water. But it's got fulvic in it, and that's something that I need now. It'll take away my gray hair, maybe. Who knows? Jeez, oh, man. One good thing, one company that makes some good products is called Miyoko's, and they have a excuse me. They have a cashew butter, which is really decent. Because even with vegan butters, you try to get the butter and you want to be sustainable and you don't want to hurt the orangutans, right? Orangutan, however you want to say it. It's orangutan. Some people say orangutan. Tomato, which is funny because my girlfriend got mad at me the other day because she said, tomato. And I was like, you know what? Who really actually says that anyhow? Who says tomato ever? I think she said some, in Britain they say tomato. I have no idea. I don't know anybody that says tomato. So it's kind of like one of those sayings, tomato, whatever, But nobody says that. Not that I know, and nobody I know, anyhow, says tomato or potato. Unless it's me being goofy. Or, who was it? Lure in Star Trek The Next Generation, Data's brother said it, right? But, anyway. Oh, man. What the heck was I even talking about? I don't remember now. Oh, the getting vegan butter, right, that doesn't have palm oil in it, because we were talking about the orangutans. It's hard because our whole system is made up on these things. And what do you do unless you start making your own stuff? Or you start forking out all this cash for stuff that you just can't afford. Otherwise, you just settle for whatever it is. I mean, you buy vegan chicken nuggets, right? For what, $8, $10 for I forget how many. Or you buy, compare that against, Burger King's dollar menu. I mean, how do you can't compete with it. It's just hard, But the palm oil, I tried to avoid it, but it's difficult. That stuff is in a lot of things. That is in so many different things. I didn't even think that oil was even in it, and it had palm oil in it. But Miyoko's butter. So they make a cashew butter as long as you're not allergic to cashews, which my girlfriend's father's allergic to cashews, unfortunately. So he can't enjoy that butter. That stuff's actually really good. It melts well. It cooks well. But It comes in a block like this. That's where, like vegan stuff always has to be so extra, you know? Just make it in regular blocks. Make it in regular blocks where, you know, what we're used to butter being like, cuz it's easier to handle, you know, when it's in just a rectangle instead of this big giant slab. I mean, why does it have to be in a slab? Make it smaller, right? Make individual packages of it. That'd be golden. Not this big old slab. Now I feel like I got to use that thing up even faster because I got to keep unwrapping it. Anyhow, they got excellent butter. And they also make an excellent mozzarella cheese. And it's a liquid in like a bottle. Wonder what that'd be like drinking it. I was always tempted to put that in my coffee. It's creamer because it's really thick. I don't know what it would do in there, but I mean, it is cashew, right? It's just a thick cashew milk, probably. Probably be all right in coffee. Could try it. If you get all stringy, maybe. Oh man, but it's good stuff. Unless you got cashew allergies, it's not. And speaking of sweet stuff, like condensed coconut milk is actually pretty good, and it reminds me of caramel. So it tastes like caramel to me, anyhow. I was making smoothies for a while. You know what? See, I was making my own smoothies. Why the hell am I going to Smoothie King? You know, just buy the bag of I would buy a bag of, and it's cheap. You buy a bag of frozen blueberries, frozen strawberries, and get fresh bananas, right? And I would put them in my smoothie. Sometimes I'd put some cacao nibs, but I would add the condensed coconut milk, which is great in that. Man, I got to start making my own, you know, making my own smoothies again. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know why I stopped. You know, I should have went on with that. Should have continued. I got to clean it. I don't know. It drives me nuts. The whole thing. It's like I need a room, and everything's stainless steel or glass, right? And the appliances in there all can get soaking wet, and it doesn't matter. They won't short out or anything, right? Because I want to cook in it. I want to cook in this room. I want to make smoothies in this room. But then I want to leave, right? I want to close the door, and I want to press a button, right? And it does what's called a CIP, which means clean in place. And these sprinklers come down, and these foamers, you know, kind of like a car wash in a way, but like a car wash that you don't drive through, one that you stay in, and the things go around you and all, and the pipes go around you, and they spray you and whatnot. So I leave, I push the button, right? The CIP starts, it starts foaming everything in there, it starts spraying everything down, and then it dries everything when it's done, and then I can go back in there and use it again. So I don't have to clean up the goddamn mess, because that's the worst part of cooking, is cleaning up that mess. To the point where I don't want to cook because I don't want to make a mess. I mean, that's how neurotic I get. I don't want to cook because I don't want to make a mess. I mean, I need help. I really do. I should talk to someone about that. Because what I end up doing is talking myself out of things. Like, I almost did it. I almost did it again today. You know? Well, I did it with other things today, probably. I did it probably with many, many other things today. But as far as, you know, doing the podcast tonight, I almost talked myself out of that because I somehow stumbled upon an article that said how podcasts are going downhill, and there has been stagnant subscriber growth and creator growth ever since the epidemic was over, because there was a burst during the epidemic because everyone's home and people were listening to podcasts. So then I'm like, you know, what's the point? Why am I even going to try to make a podcast if no one's going to listen to it? Well, of course I want people to listen to it, but I want to do it for myself as well. Like, I need to get these things out of my head. they're just all up in it. They gotta come out. They have to come out. I can't leave them up there. I'll go more insane than I already am. So I have to share. Okay, this is one thing that I will share. All right, but yeah, I got stuck on that article, and I'm reading it, and then I start reading the data into it, and I start getting scientific about it. And I'm like, yeah, what is the sense? And I must just have some kind of tick, just like I did with spackle in my son's room that I still have to finish. Although I was in there last week, and I did the ceiling, and I did the corners. But I'm reading about this, and I feel like I have something in me that wants to always constantly talk myself out of things. And man, it's such a hamper. It's such a limiting factor that I have, and man, it's hard to get over it. It really is hard to get over it. I mean, I will find every excuse known to man to try to get out of doing something that benefits me. Now, if it's something that someone's asking of me or they need help with, that's a different story. I'll be all top of it. I'll be all over it. But if it pertains to my well-being, I can't. Or if it pertains to making something better, you know what? Maybe it's just something that I just subliminally just don't want to do. But I feel like that about a lot of different things. Like, I'm in acting school, and I'll prepare, right? Every week I'm prepared, and I come to class and I'm prepared. But then I start anticipating going on that stage, and it's the devil. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, but it's not the devil. It's awesome. It's a relief. I mean, it's beautiful. Just going up there. But there's like this, you're backstage, and you're going to go up the steps, and then there's a doorway to go to the stage, and there's like this force field. This powerful force field. Oh my God. It's crazy. And that anticipation just burns me up. It just gets me going. It really does. It's a tricky thing, and it just, wow. It makes it makes me think of things like, what if a fire just went out and I have to save someone, or like what if someone came into the school and tried shooting it up or something, and I have to jump into action and throw like a chair at them and try to tackle them. Like, all those things go through my mind. Anything I can think of to get me out of going onto that stage. It's crazy. It's like this anticipation thing, and it's just, it's daunting. It really is. It's daunting. And it's something I love so much to do. I love it. I wish I could do it all the time. I mean, that's the goal. I want to be able to do it all the time, but it's a hard profession, especially when you have another profession that you need to put food on the table with, But I have this as well, which is great, and it's fun. But it's scary too, It's scary. Especially, you got to promote it. How do you do that? I don't want to ask anybody to listen to it, because I don't want them to be disappointed. I don't want them to think like I'm a shit. You know what I mean? Can I say shit even though I have it as not explicit? Is that really a bad word? I mean, I remember my my best friend growing up across the street. His name was Brian, and they were Catholic. And we were, born again Christians. I was brought up that way, which is very interesting. My mom wasn't, nor was my brother, but my dad was. And I remember he was allowed to say shit, and he was, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11. Maybe younger than that. He was allowed to say shit. I wasn't. Man, oh man. I couldn't even have people sleep over on Saturday night unless they went to church with us Sunday morning. No sleepover Saturday night unless they go to church with us on Sunday morning. Man, oh man. I swear, I wish my dad was still around. I would talk to him about that. He'd be fun to have on the show. Oh boy. Well, anyhow, I think that's all I have in me for right now. You know, I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to let that linger in you guys. All right. I'm going to let you guys just linger, chew on that for a little bit. You know, because once I get going, I get going. But it's going to have to be continued the next time. But yeah, just I struggle with being sustainable, but I think it's good to keep trying. I mean, you got to keep trying to be sustainable and hope that eventually the prices will come down. But I don't like that it becomes a fad to be sustainable. Because once it becomes a fad to be sustainable, then companies see it and they're like, "Oh, yeah, this is catching on. So we can have our prices set to here because people will still buy it because that's the new fad. And all they're doing is taking freaking advantage of you, of us." And that's what's crappy. And that's what really upsets me. That really bothers me. That they know that it's a good thing. And they know that it's the right thing. I mean, maybe not everyone thinks it is, but it's probably the right thing, okay? And what they do is, since they know people are backed into a corner with it because people want to fit in, right? And they want to do what's right, they're going to charge extra because they can, because people will buy it. And guess what? Since it costs more money, people will buy it even more because, oh, it costs money. That must mean something that it costs money. That must mean something that it costs more, because I know that's where my brain goes, because I end up looking at price tags. And if something is more expensive, I want to buy it. Why do I want to buy it? Because it's more money. And I think that because it's more money, it must be better. What, man. You know, I wasn't taught these things growing up. And I wish I knew these things when I was younger. I really do. I wish I knew these things when I was younger. Because I swear I would have turned out differently. Yeah, right. Probably not. Probably wouldn't have mattered any, you know? I mean, we are what we are. I mean, we just try to do the best we can, right? But, yeah, try a little bit. Slow steps of being sustainable. Just try a little bit. One step at a time, you know? I mean, it's just thinking about it is a start. It's a huge start. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. All right? Love you all out there. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I really do. And I'll see you soon. Hopefully sooner than later. All right? Take care. Goodbye. Jabba-dabba-da.